Coming to you live from the Hellmouth Adjacent. It's a popular cinema podcast. I'm your co-host Payne,
I'm Bill.
and welcome to episode 76.
76.
You know what today is, Bill?
Sunday?
It's morning to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. It's morning to Halloween, Silver Shamrock. It's morning to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. It's morning to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Do you
Wow,
remember that?
I love that movie. I didn't know that you did, though.
Do you like that movie?
Yes, it's my favorite Halloween movie.
What is that? Halloween 3 Season of the Witch?
That's right. Halloween 3, it has nothing to do with the rest of the story, but we're making it anyway. That's what it is.
When did that movie come out? Oh, 1982.
Yep.
1982.
I walked to the Uptown Theater, I believe, to see it on Market Street from my grandmother's house, where, I believe I did. I don't know how I got in, considering I was by myself and I was like maybe 10 years old.
Yeah, Youngstown was running a very loose operation back there. They're like, it's rated R, whatever, go in there. What do you look, 12? Yeah,
Right.
here's a ticket.
That's what happened.
You know, the plot of that movie at the time when it came out was just very scary. It's a very, what is it, directed by John Carpenter, I believe, right?
No, it was not directed by
Was
John
not?
Carpenter.
Wasn't he?
I don't know.
He had to produce it. He had his fingers on
Well,
that.
his
Though.
fingers were on it, but the plan was for them to introduce this whole anthology idea for the whole rest of the series. But Halloween 3 tanked at the box office,
Oh, it did. Indeed.
and it's one of those movies where it didn't have a good word of mouth when it was released, but has since formed a cult following, and so it's one of those cult wonders.
For the people who haven't seen Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, I mean, it's actually terrifying when the kids put on the mask and then they start playing the music.
And the snakes
the
come out, and the insects.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a head trippy kind of fucked up movie. But the complaint, of course, was that it had nothing to do with the Michael Myers character or the Michael Myers storyline that was introduced in the first two movies. So after
Yeah,
this,
they probably should have separated it out a little bit.
well, yeah, but I mean, like again, the idea was for them to do an anthology. They weren't going to go back to Michael Myers, but as we saw from Halloween 4, that's just exactly what they did. So,
You know, anytime, when you start to get the static on the television, that does
Yeah.
trip me out a little bit. Like I start thinking of that, all of a sudden you're like, it's trying to hypnotize you. That's a conspiracy theory in me all the time.
right.
Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. You know what I did it not too long ago?
What was that?
Went to Oberlin with my woman.
What's Oberlin?
Oberlin is, how do I want to say this? Apparently, it's a very historical town and one of the few colleges, I think one of the first colleges to allow all people of like different races and genders to go to school there for higher education.
So
It's also
integration.
it's also a stop on the Underground Railroad, and we did some tours while we were there and walked around. It's
Does
very
the Underground
educational.
Railroad still have Is it still under there? Is it still open?
I don't know if it's sort of like it's, I don't think it's like an underground thing, Bill, up in Oberlin. Like it's actually underground.
Okay.
So it's a stop along the way of people just trying to get from here up to Canada.
Right.
But anyway, I've decided for Uncle Nephew Weekend in 2019, I'm going to step up the educational aspect of our visits.
Really? Have you run this past nephew?
You know, I, I don't, anybody under the age of 18, I really don't want to ask their opinions on things. I just want to do.
I understand. You're just going
Um,
to introduce him regardless of whether he wants to be educated
yeah,
or not.
these kids nowadays have too many opinions on their own. I mean, I think that's sort of you were raised. And you were very lippy. If you were my child, I would have probably just smacked you a few times.
Yeah,
Little
this is true.
backhand across the face.
I was a little lippy.
Oh, a little.
Oh, please.
um, you were too big for your britches.
Wow.
Anyway, how was Halloween? Any activities last night? I know it hasn't
Wow,
happened. On Halloween.
that's a real. Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. I had dinner with your sister, and her husband and your nephews.
How was that?
It was lovely. Chris and I went over and we had enchiladas and margaritas and chips and dips, and we got to play my favorite card game and yours, Cards Against Humanity, which is my favorite. I do love that game.
Oh, are you actually good at it? Or are you just still like
Surprisingly, I lost, which is surprising because I was winning the last time we played it when we had dinner over our place, and I was drunk. Last night I was like, I'm gonna stay sober all night, and I lost. So
Oh. So you stayed sober. How was that?
it was fine. I mean, I had a couple margaritas, but I just didn't, swallow my usual vodka and cranberries.
So my sister fixed enchiladas. Was this
She
some
did.
sort of vegetarian thing? What was
It was. She had a vegetarian option and a chicken option, and I have not yet partaken of the vegetarian option, but we did bring some leftovers home, so I have that for dinner tonight. And I had the
Oh,
chicken option, and it was delish.
okay, you can save that. We can talk off air about that. But every time I was going, when I make a visit down to Columbus, and I'm
Sure.
like, "So, do you have anything to eat in this house?" She'd be like, "Well, we got some enchiladas," and I'd be like, and she'll go to the fridge and lift up some aluminum foil and then offer me some sort of used enchiladas.
You don't do leftovers, right? Which is a thing I don't get, but okay.
I'm not a fan of leftovers. No.
So what do you do when you eat something and you don't eat it all and you just throw it out?
Yeah.
Really? You, I'm Mr. Penny Miser, throws out food?
Well, I don't like to think I throw out food. I just think I make enough for myself, and then, and then I eat it.
You never have leftovers. Who doesn't have leftovers? You
Well,
don't have any leftovers.
when Chris fixes food, now and then there's leftovers, and then she'll partake in the leftovers. And I mean, she made beef stew. I mean, I guess that counts as a leftover.
Yeah, if it was more
Oh.
if it was from one meal to another meal, that's a
Yeah.
leftover, bitch.
Yeah, I think it's easier to do with soup, but I'm not like leaving over like extra pieces of steak. That's just weird for me. It's just weird.
I don't know what kind of weird ass shit's going on over there in your head, but leftovers are perfectly fine. You can freeze them. You can have them like weeks later, so you don't have to have it like back to back as a meal if you don't want that.
That's some 1920 Great Depression shit.
Wow. Well, considering that you're over there, watching all your dollars and cents, I would think that would be one way that you could maybe save on food costs. But okay.
Speaking of dollars and cents, we went to a neighborhood get together last night,
Sure.
and part of it is one of the discussions I had with a group of people was about Halloween,
Okay.
and like, by the way, we're gonna have any trick or treaters on our street? And of course, the resounding answer is we believe we're not going to have any trick or treaters on the street at
Well, 'cause-
all.
Well, why? It's a developing complex unless you're
I
trying to get
know.
your kids killed.
I know, but when you speak of money, I mean, I think the one year when I lived at the old place, I spent like $60 and still ran out of candy. That's when I had to run in and find pennies and apples to give to the children.
Oh, really? I can't with the pennies and the apples. Why don't you just open the door and say fuck off and close the door instead? That would just be easier. Who gives
But
apples and pennies?
I know that's the problem. But I think the one guy said that his wife spent like $100 on candy, and what they do is what I pictured is like there's like a busload of children that just pull up to the neighborhood. You go to the neighborhoods that are well off, and then you just like park your vehicle and you walk around. You don't want to stay
Yeah,
in the
but your
ghetto and
place
do
is,
trick or
first of all,
treating.
your place is still under construction, so it looks like who knows who lives where, if there's anybody living in those places yet or not. It just doesn't look like a welcoming, child-friendly environment. There's porta potties. I mean, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't think I'd take my kid over there. I mean, maybe next year when it's all done.
I can tell you what, all the lights will be off. Lights will be off. Not
Well, so there was no discussion of like getting together, like maybe out at the front of the complex, and everybody just sits around and like sits in chairs or something with buckets of candy to hand out to any kids that like drive by. I guess that would be weird.
No, no, we
Okay,
did
never
that
mind.
last night. We just hung out and just had some drinks. One of the people suggested maybe going from house to house and drinking shots from each house to each house. So
And is this a option you're going to partake in, or what?
no, that's something that some one guy said. I'm not going to be going from house to house and drinking shots. If I want to drink shots, I'll just buy liquor and drink in my own home. But
How social of you.
I mean, that's like a what is that? That's like a neighborhood pub crawl.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, what's interesting, Bill, is the group of people that showed up. You can tell the breakdown because the couples show up, and there's actually some young people in the development. They haven't showed up to any events, and I think it's a clear signal that they don't want to hang with the the fuddy duddies. They just don't
Well,
want to be.
no, they're young people. They want to hang around people their own age. They don't want to hang around a bunch of middle-aged people. You can understand that. You remember being young.
I know, but it's just kind of hilarious. They're just like,
Yeah, they're like, who wants to hang out with these people who were like, teenagers in the 80s?
oh, yeah. You had your whole mixture of things. You had people who are socially awkward. You had people who are obviously very bubbly and very charismatic. It's always very interesting.
So did you make any friends, like anybody whose like house you would just hang out with on a regular basis, or
Ah,
are you
I
still in
don't
that?
really think I want to be hanging out with anybody, but I enjoyed a lot of the conversations and a lot of people were fun. So it's always to make some good connections and
Is there an
know,
ethnic mix, or were you just really the only black person there?
oh yeah, yeah, I'm the token from South
Are you
Park.
Token? I'm gonna call you Token. I'm calling you Token. There was
But
no
the
like.
but the good thing is nobody said anything like, "So, what do you
Token.
think of Tupac?"
So was there any Chinese people or Asian people or I don't know?
No, our complex has a rule of two minorities or less,
Well,
and
that's how my whole city is. So I understand.
so no, no, no. We do have another a person of color moving in, but not maybe for another month or so.
Did they have to get approved by the board?
Um, I'm not really sure.
Where they're like, we're at our max capacity, but we'll go ahead and make an exception because this person is like a doctor slash lawyer slash whatever movie star.
Professionals.
Hmm.
So what are you going to do down in your neighborhood? Are you going to be passing out candy in that place of yours?
My husband is working, and we discussed this last night at dinner because I basically said I'm going to shut out the lights just like you and not hand out anything because I don't really want to be bothered.
Well, Chris seems like he would pass out candy, right?
He would if he was going to be home, but he's working. So
Oh, so you're not even going to play that game. You're just going to be selfish, huh? You're like,
yeah,
there's going to be kids in your neighborhood walking around, and you're not even going to attempt to pass out candy.
I'll put a bucket of candy out on my porch. Who gets it, gets it. When it's out, it's out. Okay. I don't care if one kid takes the whole bucket. Whatever. I'm doing my part.
Are you going to get some good candy? Are you going to get some? What's like those bottle caps? What's the best candy? Reese's Cup I always thought was the best candy.
I don't know. I don't really do chocolate, so I'll probably get some blow pops, which is also a cool candy. Some nerds. Maybe we've got some Laffy Taffies around here, I think. So yeah.
When you went trick or treating, did you go with your mom or your dad, or did you just go with a group of people, or did you?
When I was really little, I went with of course, my mother. My father was like, of course, probably out there screwing one of his whores. So he wasn't around. And then when I got to be a teenager, younger than teenager, like a young, like, I don't know, 10 or 12, young teen, preteen, whatever you call them. I think I went with a group of kids, like in the neighborhood, but we went like, when you're supposed to go after dark. Because that's, Halloween rather than this bullshit now where you have it from like 6 to 6:30. And it's like when the owls start howling, you have to go home. I don't know what that's about, but I don't care for it. I think it's bullshit. But, the world we're living in, I mean, this smoking ass dumpster fire that went on this week, I can understand why they have to have that shit. I'm surprised they don't start putting it at like 4 to 6.
It's funny. We had that discussion in terms of being a different time. You're right. When I went trick or treating, it was after 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was dark. And usually you were rolling with a bunch of friends. You didn't
Yeah.
really have parental supervision, so you could do like
Ding
stupid
dong
stuff.
ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do all sorts of stuff like that. You
Throw
know,
eggs at people's houses.
I never egged anybody's houses. I think I was with a group of kids who actually wanted to steal other people's, like, you
Pumpkins.
know, no candy. Like younger kids, you wanted to run up and just take their pillowcase of candy.
Oh, what a lovely idea. I
Listen,
mean, they're just giving away free candy, but let's steal somebody else's.
it never happened, but that's how it is in the
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Different time. It's probably coming 4 to 6 Halloween. 4 to 6 Halloweens is eventually happening.
Speaking of Youngstown, your sister told me that she did the application for the housing thing, so you can get get off the hook with that.
Yeah, she filled it out.
Yeah, she said she's like taking that over, and so hopefully you'll be out of that situation soon.
Yeah, she did that. That was real great, but it's
Yeah.
technically you're waiting for the wheels of government to get that application and process it.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least it's in the works.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we probably should discuss
Movies,
what we're here for on the show. I mean, I guess that's sort of.
I suppose.
I figured
There's a lot of
I'd start
news.
off with.
We've been
I'll
out for
start
a
with-
while, so
Yeah. Well, I had to, I'm a little bit behind schedule, but I figured maybe we'll start off with a little bit of horror stuff and then just get into all the general bullshit that we do.
okay.
Halloween related, Jason Blum, the guy who's in charge of making all the low-cost horror movies that range from $5 million to $10 million, apparently made some boneheaded comments about the lack of talented women directors in Hollywood, specifically in the horror genre. He said he often found it was strange there are not more female horror directors out there, and some other things. What did you think of Jason Blum's comments?
Boneheaded seems to come to mind.
And in light of that comment, I pulled up some movies that were directed by women that were horror movies, and some things were kind of surprising.
Okay.
The Slumber Party Massacre was directed by Amy Holden. Did you ever see the Slumber Party Massacre? That's like 1982.
I did not. Did you?
I did not, but it was one of those classics. I think the guy rolls in with the power drill. That was back in the day with Friday the 13th with all that. That just wasn't my speed, but I know it was popular.
Okay.
Do you remember? Catherine Bigelow.
Well, sure.
else is
Didn't you do Hunt for Red October?
Oh, now we have to look. Can you look that up?
Sure.
You can't. She did a movie in '87 called Near Dark.
I've never
It was-
seen it, but I've heard of it.
Yes, it was one of my. It's on my list of like top 100 movies. It's like a modern vampire western movie. It was real grounded. I had no idea. I was directed by her. What else she done? Catherine Bigelow.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
Um,
IMDb is a little slow.
okay, then there is Mary Lambert. She directed in 1989 Pet Sematary.
Here's the takeaway from this.
Go ahead.
You and I, might not be as familiar with female directors of horror genre films that somebody who is a technical leader currently in the industry should probably have been slightly more familiar with the fact that there have been female directors of horror films, because that's what his entire job is, right? That's how I feel about it. I don't know why he wouldn't have known this information, because he seems like he's got his finger sort of on the pulse, or probably should have his finger on the pulse of industry.
Yeah, it makes sense. Are you doing something with your microphone, by the way, or moving around? Maybe
I'm
whatever
chewing
you're
on it.
doing.
No, it's right in my face.
Okay, well,
Something
something
directed the Hurt Locker.
Where that's it. It was the Hurt Locker. There you go. Thank you.
Zero Dark 30,
Um,
Near Dark, Strange Days. Did you know that?
I had no idea. I know she's talented. But you're right. I would agree with you on that. That somebody in his position, and especially just a specific genre, some of the movies I'm naming are not like not unpopular.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but
she did
that's
Pet
his.
Cemetery. You weren't a fan of the Pet Cemetery movie.
I was not.
Um, okay.
Point Break, she
American
directed.
Psycho. That was directed by
Oh,
Mary Herron.
yeah, I saw. I did like American Psycho.
Oh, you do?
I do. Do you really want me to tell you why?
Okay, it's going to be gay related. I know why then.
Well,
Is it,
there's a lot of shots
is
of
that
Christian Bale's ass in it. I'm sorry.
that's so you're so simple. There was a movie called Jennifer's Body in 2009, directed by Karen Kusama. I did not care that. Started with Megan Fox. Um, Not a very good movie, but American Mary in 2012. They did a remake of Carrie in 2013, directed by Kimberly Pierce. Um,
So
wasn't
you and
bad.
I, two schmucks and a Google search, can find all this information out. Yet Jason Bloom, who is the head of Bloomhouse Productions, could not.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Well,
here's
he did apologize. So
The Babadook. That's a popular like cult classic by Jennifer Kent. There's a movie called Honeymoon. Probably not a lot of press on that one, but I just saw that on Netflix. Very interesting. Um, Here's one that's of interest. There's a movie called The Invitation, 2015, directed by the same person who did Jennifer's Body. Now, this movie, Bill, I saw the trailer, and it looked so whatever you want to call it, like this psychological thriller. It looked so good, so good. So this is when I was just dating Chris early on, and so I was just like, she's like, "What are you doing on Sunday?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be watching this movie. I've been waiting. It just dropped." I'm like, "I got to see it right away." I go, "You're welcome to come over and see it." So, young love, my woman's going to come over. Well, she's not my woman yet, but she's going to come over and she's going to watch this movie for me,
we'll
with
say early love. I don't know if I could
early
call you
love.
people young.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Early love. And so she comes over. I fire up this movie. And you can tell within the first 15 minutes, usually, she's looking at me cross eyed. Like, what is this shit you're watching? And I'm already thinking the same thing. Like, this is a crap movie. And
What was this movie?
it's called The Invitation. And it's essentially like you go over this people's house, and it was a couple. And essentially, the people were like, I don't know. What do you call those? They're cultists, essentially, and
Okay.
they're trying to indoctrinate the new people, and they're doing some sort of voodoo stuff, and they lock the doors, and it just wasn't. The trailer looks great, but it wasn't good. And I don't know about you, but like when I watch movies with people, like part of it is you want to turn it on, and I see a lot of movies, but you want them to enjoy it as you're watching it too. And there's nothing worse than me watching it with someone, and then they kind of look at you like, "This is crap."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I really concerned myself with that.
No.
I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know. I haven't really
Well, you
thought
know
about
what
it.
it is. It makes it. What did we watch last time? We
Which one?
watched Moonlighting. Or was it
Oh,
Moonlight?
no, Moonlight.
Moonlight.
Yeah. Yeah, but we were on the same page that
Okay.
it was
Okay.
crap.
Then there's Valerian. We saw Valerian
Well,
together.
that's true. And I enjoyed Valerian when I first saw it, but watching it with you and you were just like, "Oh." Then I was just like, "Oh, well, maybe it's not that great after all." I
You're
don't know.
like, well, yeah. I guess if the person's going to shut their mouth and you don't feel their energy, then it's fine. But if you feel the person's energy, like they're moving around, they pick up their phone, or they want to go to the bathroom for 15 minutes, really puts a damper on. Like, do you want me? Here you go. This is a classic. Do you want me to pause the movie? And the person goes, no. You can
Oh,
just
no,
let it
no, no.
play.
Yeah, when they have to get up and go to the bathroom or something and you're like, "Oh, I'll hit pause." And they're like, "No, it's fine. Let it play." Then you know they're out, right?
I'm like, well, I'm going to pause it for you anyway. You're like, no, no, no. Just let it
No,
play. I'll be right
yeah,
back.
I can hear it from the bathroom upstairs down the hall. It's fine. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Anyway, so did you see the Pet Cemetery 2, the new Pet Cemetery reboot that's coming out. Did you
I
see that
did
trailer?
not, because I wasn't a fan of the first one, so I feel like I'm over the whole subject.
Okay. All right. I knew you were going to say that. I'm kind of obviously interested in it again. The first one was weird and very spooky to me. Um, with the lady, it looked like she had like spina bifida or something, and she like,
I don't remember. I know I saw it in a theater. I just don't remember very specific details about it, other than the fact that I was like, "Ugh, I'll never get that 2 hours back."
yeah. Before we move on, did you have one of the scariest movies that kept you up at night?
I don't know if I actually have one of those. Um, I would say The Exorcist, but not really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was more like because of the adult sexual situations involving the girl and the cross that I found to be like, I can't believe they made this movie with this in it.
I can't see them making a movie like that again in this day and age. But yeah.
Oh, I can. I mean, this
Really?
is kind of like how there's peak TV, there's peak horror going on at the theaters right now. I mean, look at the new Halloween, 40 years later, and it's like the #1 movie.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying I think horror probably has the widest swath of acceptability right now as far as like pushing the boundaries in any big budget film.
okay.
I think
I,
because they keep pushing it with these series like The Conjuring, and
have you seen The Conjuring yet?
we have not. I don't know if we're going to get to it this Halloween because tomorrow our wedding anniversary.
But since I have my woman and the dogs here, I feel very brave and just firing up the horror movie because I know I'm not alone.
Really,
So
because
yeah.
Scooties is going to look at the ghost coming to get you and be like, yawn. And Ferg is just going to yip at it all night and not really do anything about it.
Well,
So I don't know if the dogs are going to keep you safe.
Ferg's a little bit blind now. He's getting worse. Like a leaf will blow past him, and then he'll start barking and chase after it. Then he'll realize it's a leaf. So did
Have you
you
ever
have
had his
you?
eyes checked?
Yeah, he's got what is it? Glaucoma, cataracts. He's got cataracts.
Cataracts. Yeah.
Cataracts. Yeah, it's starting to form.
Okay.
So, um, there is. Have you watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch that just dropped on Netflix?
No, because we haven't had a chance. We didn't do anything this weekend. We just went to dinner at your sister's, and then Friday he had a party, and today he's at work. So we haven't really had any chance to watch anything this weekend.
Well, I watched the first 15 minutes of this. And what is Sabrina based off of? Is that like what is this from Bewitched? What is this?
No,
What
it's
is
from Archie, the Archie comics. It's in the same universe as Riverdale.
the Archie comics? I mean, I've read comic books. Is that where I know Sabrina from? Did she have a
Probably.
cartoon back when we were growing up?
She did have a cartoon, and she also had a show with Melissa Joan Hart.
Yes,
Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Yeah,
that was on like what, Nickelodeon?
something like that.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I watched 15 minutes of it, and I enjoyed the first 15 minutes of it. I know things can change after watching it for another 30 minutes for the first episode, but I got some vibes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. Um,
What
so,
happens if it turns out to be not as well written as Buffy and Angel, though? Then you feel like, oh, well, it's kind of like a Buffy ripoff.
well, yeah, very true. I'm trying not to put it in that category of having high expectations. I'm hoping to go in there pleasantly surprised. Like I feel like it's going to be more difficult when they have a Charmed remake and when they actually do, if they do the Buffy remake, because then you're basing it like basing off that material, and I think I go in with preconceived notions where I could easily hate the show. So
Right.
with something like Sabrina, maybe it might be channeling Buffy, but maybe it's not trying to be Buffy. So I'm trying to separate it out.
So far so good. You haven't gotten beyond the first 15 minutes. Didn't you watch that like 4 days ago?
Yeah, but there's so much going on. I got Shutterbill. I just ended up watching. I'm almost finished with the second episode of Teen Titans on the DC universe,
Well, you're farther than we are now because we haven't seen the second episode yet.
and I can tell you the shit is good. It's
So good. Well, that's good to know. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's now it's not worth me paying another $8 for it. It's worth me like riding your coattails
uh
for that right there. But I mean, I think if they're gonna do shows like this is what Luke Cage, Netflix, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Jessica Jones. This show here is the speed that I want. Because they're all a little bit dark and grounded, and this thing is dark and grounded, but the writing just seems like the show moves. It's moving. There's some action, there's some interesting characters, and they're moving. It's a fast pace, but just enough where you're getting the characters, and it's exciting. I think I would compare it to, even though I don't watch it, you watch Gotham,
right.
and you always tell me like it's always
It
some sort of
moves.
crazy thing going on, and it's moving.
Right.
Um, and I'm not saying like I have, ADHD where I can't have like slow character development, but the Netflix shows are notoriously slow,
Right.
and it seems like it's not necessary. It's
Well,
unnecessary.
it's what else it isn't? Coming back for a third season.
What?
Yeah, well, Luke Cage and Iron Fist have both been canceled in the last couple weeks. I don't know if we've talked about Iron Fist yet, but the shocking surprise was Luke Cage just out of nowhere being canceled by Netflix. So,
Well, what dropped first was Iron Fist. They said we're
Right.
not going to be doing this,
which
and then
isn't
it was a
really a huge shock because it was considered, I think, amongst the hoi polloi to be the least interesting of the Marvel shows. And I can tell you, having been watching season 2 so far, I disagree about season 1. I thought season 1 was better. Season 2 to me is boring as fuck of Iron Fist. So I'm personally at this point not going to really miss that show that much. But then a week later, they came out and said, boom, Luke Cage will not be coming back for season 3 either, which is
now.
surprising.
That is surprising, especially since you still have Jessica Jones season 3 being greenlit, and we already
Right.
have Daredevil season 3 out,
Right.
and we're going to be getting a Punisher season 2, right?
Right.
So,
So the
were
rumor.
were you able to sift through all this? Is this just all going back over to what is it, Disney?
Disney streaming. No one knows for sure. It seems suspicious that they would cancel 2 different shows within a week of each other at Netflix when Netflix is basically notorious for renewing shit that nobody watches. Um, so I think there's probably something afoot now, whether that means they're going to be creating a Heroes for Hire show, or they're going to put it back over on the Disney streaming network whenever that launches at the end of next year. I don't know, but I don't see a real reason why they would. They said with Luke Cage that it came down to artistic differences with the writers of the show, and they couldn't come to some agreement for how they wanted the show to go, the direction of the show.
Then why didn't we
So-
fire those writers? Why didn't we fire them?
Right. Well, that's a good question. Why didn't they just fire them and hire some new ones? So I don't know. That's all a bunch of mystery right now, but I would suspect they also came out and said, now they haven't said this about Luke Cage though. As far as Danny Rand goes, the character of Danny Rand was told that would be still around in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, does that mean they'll put him in the movies? Does that mean they'll give him the Heroes for Hire show? What does that mean? I don't know. So it's all very cryptic, but still kind of, because I think Luke Cage, even though I had a serious problem with the Jamaican character bad guys, I thought the season 2 was really very good. I mean, Alfred Woodard really made that season for me. So,
Well, for all the
think-
talk that I say about these shows, I also enjoyed season 2 of Luke Cage. So,
and I mean, Netflix doesn't release ratings because they don't have to. So we'll never know. But there was an article the other day that I read that said, here's what some of the issue is with some of the Netflix shows at the Marvel Netflix shows. And that is the social media impressions were down significantly from season 1.
I saw that
Two.
article because when the first season drops, all the social media presence. I saw that article was like, let's say 1 million, and then for season 2, it's down to like 300,000, whatever that means, something like that.
Right. like 75% drop in. So I don't know what a social media impression is. Is that how many times you hashtag the word Luke Cage, or how many times you can find that word Luke Cage
Like
referenced on
trending?
Twitter? Try okay. So apparently, if you're going just by those numbers, then the interest amongst social media seemingly dropped really severely. So maybe that was a reason that they, or that was data that they used to judge whether they wanted another season or not. I don't know. But then they're also saying if you then compare that to the Jessica Jones data of impressions and the Daredevil impressions, those are also dropping significantly. So does that mean therefore they're going to cancel Daredevil and Jessica Jones? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I mean, maybe they should be releasing the. It'd be nice if they kind of showed us what the reception is, or the ratings, or how many people are watching their shows. I mean, as a consumer, I'd be curious.
Right. So yeah, for Iron Fist, the first season inspired 120,000 posts uh, on Instagram and Twitter. The second season only had 20,000. So that's $100,000. Excuse me, 100,000 post drop.
Yeah, you're like nobody's like, I don't really have to write about this. Let's write about something else.
So yeah, I don't know.
All right. So, how's your DC universe going?
As far as the film verse, you mean, or
No, your streaming network.
I mean, we haven't watched anything. It's
All right. So,
the
what
one
did you
episode of
start to?
Titans. So
When did you sign up for your subscription?
oh, like weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. I mean, I'm just gonna
Right.
keep it. So
Okay.
I mean, it's
Um,
only $8, right?
only $8. Okay. Speaking of Disney, um, it acquired 20th Century Fox for $71 billion.
Right.
$71 billion. So there is an issue that apparently out there that Disney is open since they acquired 20th Century Fox, open to continue to make its adult dramas and R-rated features.
Right.
Um, let me see here. Where's the part where I want to go have this? The two companies, Disney and 20th Century Fox, have taken different strategies in the past. Disney abandoned R-rated films, which have been proven to be a riskier sell at a time when movie audiences are shrinking. Um, Fox, in contrast, has several franchises that go after the adult audience, such as one of your favorites, Kingsman. Um, what do you think of this, Bill?
Of what Disney doing possibly?
Well, when they acquire some of these things, do they sit there and, mouse house it where we don't do R-rated films anymore, or do they have a separate sections where they can keep the edgier material under their
I don't.
umbrella?
I don't know. I mean, the deal isn't done yet, so it's going to be a while before we actually test this theory out to see, if stuff like Deadpool continues to come forward. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. I mean, Disney used to have R-rated films. They just decided that under the Disney brand, and some of the films that they would release would be under a brand called Touchstone. I don't remember if you remember Touchstone Pictures.
Yeah.
Um, that would be some of their more adult-oriented material. So I imagine it'll probably be the same situation. They will just have Fox be the people who do the more adult
It'll be
stuff.
under a different name and not necessarily have the Disney logo going across
Right,
it.
right. I mean, I imagine that could be a viable solution to that issue. I mean, because they don't, they don't want to get rid of stuff like Deadpool. That's cash cow for them. Although I don't see, I mean, if they integrate the X-Men into the MCU, I just don't know how I feel about them integrating Deadpool. I just don't really like the Deadpool character, and I really don't want him mingling with my cool ass Avengers. But hey,
Well, they're going to have to tone that down.
I guess. But then they don't want to because maybe they can tone it down for when he's with the other people, and then make him all raunchy and shit when he does his own movies. I don't know.
That's exactly what would have to happen. I can't see that. I can't see it, but I guess my writing is limited.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. So, your boy, your favorite guy, one of your favorite directors. The past couple years, Ryan Coogler is back. Apparently, he's going to be directing Black Panther 2, Wakanda
Sh-
Forever.
Shocking, absolutely no one. The shocking part of that story is what the fuck took them so long, right? I mean, I can
Yeah.
imagine there was probably a negotiation with pay rates, I'm sure, and you know, I'm sure he's probably going to be pulling up the Brinks truck. This is what they're going to have to do to get him back. Is what they probably did have to
Pay
do.
that man his money. Pay him his money.
Get this man a Brinks truck. So I'm sure that's probably what the holdup was. But so yeah, he's coming back to write and direct the sequel to Black Panther. So now, when the hell that movie's ever coming out, we don't know, because we did also get recently the confirmation. Well, still it's rather unofficial, but um, supposedly the release dates for the two 2020 Marvel films. The third one was going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, and Kevin Feige is on record this week stating that that has been put on hold indefinitely. Thanks, and we have the thanks of the hijinks of James Gunn for that. So thanks a lot, bravo for you, sir. Great job there. Fuckwad. So now we're only getting probably two Marvel movies in 2020. And that is Black Widow, which is coming out in May, and then something called The Eternals, which is going to be in November of 2020. So,
Do we know who's directing the Eternals?
no. And we don't know who's directing Black
You know,
Widow
we
either.
had a discussion over the phone yesterday in terms of what do we have coming out after Infinity War? Or do we have Spider-Man Far
So
From
next
Home?
year, 1919, is Captain Marvel in March, Infinity War in May, and Spider-Man in July. That's 3 next year. And then the following year, it was supposed to be Guardians 3, which we're not getting. And now the Eternals and Black Widow. Doesn't
Now,
seem
we
like
had
a
that
super exciting
discussion
year for Marvel to me.
in terms of excitement. If you want to talk about our social media impressions, I would say it would be low
Well,
right now.
yeah. I mean, the thing about it is, I guess they're in some kind of state of flux. For one thing, they're about to change phases. Phase 3 ends with Infinity War Part 2. Everybody's contract expires, so we know that either Cap or Iron Man or both of them or possibly more characters are either going to die or be shifted off the canvas in some way. So then they're going to have to come up with either a new Captain America or, transition that character out of the MCU. And so that's a bit in flux. And then we've got the whole Fox deal coming through within the next 12 months. So that means the X-Men, which I think, at this point, they need to be rushing that shit, because shit like Black Widow and the Eternals doesn't exactly set my loins on fire to run to the box office and throw down my money. So they need to start fast tracking the X-Men in the MCU, the Fantastic Four, and whoever else they got back from Fox when they bought the company. Let's just hope that shit goes through, what is it, FCC regulations or international regulations or whatever they have to do. So, because I'm not super thrilled with Phase 4 so far.
Yeah, I hear you. It's the same thing with Phase 4. It just doesn't seem as exciting, and like you said before, if you were to somehow drop Fantastic Four and bring some X-Men, then I think the excitement and the social media impressions go through the roof. But right now, Captain Marvel, and this is just for me, Captain Marvel and Black Widow is. I'm not saying they're not going to be good movies, but my excitement level is low. I think you said to me,
they're no
Widow,
Captain America or Incredible Hulk.
with her powers.
Yeah, Black Widow doesn't have any powers.
She's
so
witty, Bill. She's got martial arts and she's witty.
she can kick your ass with like some kung fu, nunchucks.
Yeah, I love Kung Fu. It's old school.
Yeah, but still, it's a superpower movie. It's a superhero movie. She's more of a super spy than a superhero. And again, I think some of these characters necessarily don't need to have their own standalone films. I think she works fantastically well as a supporting character, and it's not because she's a woman. it's because she doesn't have any superpowers. Now, Captain Marvel, however disappointing that she seems so far in the trailer, at least has some kind of superpower, so I can at least go, well, maybe they're keeping all of that stuff back because she's supposed to be, again,
The
Kevin
most
Feige keeps
powerful.
saying, the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. So I hope that they demonstrate that fully on visual effects in the screen when it comes out.
You know, I'm looking at what the Eternals are. It's, you know, based on a comic book here, and then the people who listen to the show know this. I said it ad nauseum that I used to collect comic books. I've got like 30 boxes down here full of comic books. I've stopped because the stories turned to shit. But this is, I can see why they're doing the Eternals if this is part of the synopsis. And it looks like they do have a director, Bill. Somebody
For
might have
Eternals?
known. Chloe Zhao.
Never heard of her. Okay.
Zhao. Anyway, the Eternals, quote, are a powerful race of cosmic beings who have existed in our solar system for millions of years. While most Eternals look perfectly human on the outside, their advanced biology gives them incredible strength, long lives, and powers that set them far above mortal men. I can see why you're doing that, because that's an easy thing to do, is get some actors to play these people, and, you know, it's like
It does sound a little
it
bit
doesn't
like
require you to do some
though.
sort of Galactus-like special effects of creatures that are 20 feet tall. You know,
Yeah, but doesn't it sound like mutants? It sounds like mutants to me.
yes, yeah, sure.
Um,
Different name, different powers, different history, but yes.
and different name recognition, which again doesn't prove that it won't make any money, as we can tell from Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Marvel's proven that they can take franchises that didn't have a marquee value and turn them into marquee value names. That can happen. I just, for myself, I guess I will just have to play the waiting game and see if, you know,
The Eternals, you're right. They seem to be like X-Men, which you already
right,
have.
which is the whole reason why they sort of shuffled off the Inhumans to ABC and sort of dumped that on that network because, you know, the Inhumans didn't really have, I guess, enough value to them as a brand to make the planned film that they had planned on making out of it. Again, this all gets back to my conspiracy theory about the fact that they've already known for a long time that they were going to get the X-Men back, and that's why they dumped them over there on ABC, the Inhumans. But now we're having the Eternals, which also seems like the mutants. Can we just have the fucking mutants already? Can we just have the X-Men back? I mean, we are getting the final film in the Fox X-Men series, which is the capper to the original X-Men movies, which is Dark Phoenix, which comes out next June now. So that will probably be a nice hopefully be a nice closure to that universe before they reboot and reset it for the MCU.
Let me ask you: did you watch? Just as a side note, did you watch the whole Inhuman series, or did you?
I did.
Did
I
you?
like the Inhuman series actually.
Okay.
Nobody
How
else
did it
watched
end?
it.
How did the last episode end?
I'm trying to remember. It's been several months now, but I think the Inhumans ended up on. They were living on a planet, and they left their planet and came back to Earth, and it was like they were about to be exposed as like Inhumans. I think that's how it ended.
Huh. Okay. Well, even though it's called the Eternals, it's essentially the mutants, like the X-Men. I'm kind of intrigued by that. I'm kind of intrigued a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it you know if it proves to be something that is, you know, something we haven't seen before and is a different twist on it, I just need them, you know, and I'm sure they will because they do this with the movies. Just invest in it with some special effects. Don't give me any Marvel Netflix nonsense. I can't take it. Um, so, but that doesn't usually happen in the movies. In the movies, they usually do spend a couple bucks. So,
Here's some other news. I don't know if this is what do I want to call it? If it's really, it's, I guess it's TV news. It seems of interest to me. Here, let me pull it up real
Spit it
quick.
out, man. What is it?
Spit it out. Project Runway is getting a new team.
Really? This is of interest to you?
They're
Really?
they're getting rid of Tim Gunn and Heidi Klum, and they're replacing it with Christiana Serrano and some lady's name, Carissa Closey or something else like that. Carly Kloss. It's TV news, Bill. Did you ever watch Project Runway?
I did not.
Okay, I
I'm
used to
sorry. I
watch.
just got a text.
I used to watch a few early seasons. Is it Emergency?
No, it's fine.
Um, I watched a few early seasons of Project Runway, and I stopped watching it after a while. But like with all those shows, like Ink Master, shows where people have to be creative or be artistic and be judged, I always was a fan of. So I just figured for the people out there who watch shows like Ink Master and Project Runway, Top Chef, all those type of shows, this is a changing of the guard. Um,
So, what interests you in Project Runway? Because I don't see that being a thing that you would really get into.
I just explained it right there. You have people who take some sort of fabric and then they're designed to create something new on some sort of vision, and it's fascinating to watch people use their ability to create something that you can't, and how talented they are. Now I understand all the rest of the drama with whether or not you agree with the judges or something else like that, but I like to see the people create stuff. It's the same thing with tattoos, same thing with Top Chef, where they're creating food, where you're like giving them like an egg, some jelly beans or something else, and they create something where you're just like, wow, that's amazing. You know, you don't
Okay.
watch any of those shows, don't you? Don't you watch like with the Great Baking Show? Isn't that sort of the concept too?
It's the same concept, but our closest thing to that would probably be RuPaul's Drag Race, because we're just those kinds of basic gays that watch shit like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's basically a drag queen contest, and they have to create outfits and different themes and display their talents, and they get picked off one by one every week. Yeah.
It seems like a vaudeville show. Is it actually taken seriously, or is it just like everybody's out there just drinking and having a good time?
No, it's taken seriously. There's a
Do they have?
$100,000 prize at the end of the series.
Oh, okay, all right. I wasn't sure. I always thought it was just some sort of like, just like,
The drag queens are
hello,
just walking around, oh girl, and they kick their heels off and they sit around and just gossip, and then
right?
like one
Like I
gets
just think
thrown
it's
off every week.
just showing up at the studio. They put on some makeup and they walk out on stage and say, "I'm a drag queen," and then they walk off, and that was it.
No,
That's
the
why I was.
bitches have to pull it out. They have to like wear like they have to create their own fashion for like a runway display. And I mean, some of these outfits these bitches come up with are just like and some of them don't even. First of all, I don't know how you can be a drag queen and not know how to sew. I find that to be incongruous. But any case, they have to put shit together with like pool noodles and like bargain bin fabric from Walmart and make like an outstanding like evening gown. And then they have to do like contests, like they have to do acting contests and dancing. It's like a whole big thing. So, but no, it's an actual competition, and yeah, they get picked off one by one every week. I actually think if you like Project Runway, you would like RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, I stopped watching Project Runway about like several years ago. I'm not adding RuPaul to it. I'm doing tattoos and Top Chef.
Oh, how much?
Yeah. And here we go.
8 4 days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 4 days to Halloween.
Silver Shamrock. I
Wow.
love that. I love that. That song is so addicting. It's the same thing when people start. I played the song from Silence of the Lambs for Chris. That I think it's like "Hello Horses" or something, where the guy, was he transgender guy that's cutting up all the ladies, Buffalo Bill. He's in the mirror.
Puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the
Yeah,
hose
yeah.
again.
That song that's playing. There's just certain songs like if you're hanging out with people and they come on the radio, you just kind of look at them like, "Oh, that's creepy, man. Is that what you're playing?" You're like, "Yeah,
Wild
that's
Horses, isn't that the song?
it's Wild Horses." It's just
Okay.
real, like it's so ingrained in Silence of the Lambs for me, as well as Silver Shamrock. What if you're just like walking through Kroger's and somebody's like, "6 more days to Halloween, Halloween,
Then I'm gonna
Halloween."
think the next thing they're gonna do is shoot me in the face, so I better duck.
Silver Shamrock.
Pow! Yeah. because apparently we're not safe to go to Kroger's anymore either. But that's not this show, and we're not even going to talk about it. So
That's for the people out there. That's PCP After Dark.
yeah,
All right, so
Yeah.
I see that James Gunn, you mentioned him earlier. It looks like since he can't do Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he still has enough talent out there to be awarded a job potentially someplace else and maybe doing Suicide Squad 2. What's the latest on that, Bill?
well, the latest is he's confirmed to be writing the script, so he is going to be doing it. Now, whether he's directing or not is not yet, I think, understood. So we don't know for sure if he'll direct, but he's definitely writing the script. So I think that's good news for DC. DC needs some kind of marquee value kind of guy with a good reputation to get in there and shake it up a little bit and put their stuff on more firm footing. So James Gunn undoubtedly is talented. I mean, he's made $1.5 billion out of 2 films that he's directed for Marvel. So poaching him or whatever they've done to get him over there to DC was a good move on their part.
That's hilarious. That's as if they came over and offered him money. He was fired.
Sure, but they still have. I mean, I don't think he's actually hurting for money. I mean, I don't know what his salary was for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 or 2, but you know, I think that they probably needed him just as much as he needed a job, if not more.
That's true. The rehabilitation of James Gunn.
And DC. So
Well, that's a lot to put on him. I mean, he's not Hercules.
He carried a franchise. He introduced a franchise that no one ever heard of at Marvel, and made tons of money out of it. So maybe he can put Suicide Squad on a more widely appealing level.
You know, if they needed to poach somebody, you need to start at the top. If they're DC, they need to just start with Kevin Feige. That's what they need.
Yeah, Kevin Feige isn't going anywhere.
It's your Brinks truck.
Right.
You're right. He's not going to go anywhere. But I think that's where I'd be like, who's his understudy? Who's that guy?
They've
That's
got
the
a
guy I
couple.
wanted.
Right.
Yes, maybe that's what they should be going for. Because anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about what we haven't, since it's been so many weeks, and we discussed it over the phone. I know it's old news now since we're a couple weeks behind, but it was the final Glass trailer dropped.
Oh, I didn't realize we didn't talk about that yet.
We didn't talk about the final Glass trailer. We talked about it on the phone, Bill.
It is, quite frankly, now my most anticipated movie of next year. Even I would have to say, because I've been waiting so long for it, above Avengers 4, which is my second most anticipated movie of the year. But that trailer was fantastic, and wish all Marvel trailers and all other movie trailers would be taking notes, because that's how you get people excited for a movie.
I know. My mind was blown watching the trailer. The movie looks so damn good. It looks so good.
Right?
It looks so exciting. The trailer hits all the buttons for me. And you're right. After watching like the Captain Marvel trailer, and I know you've said this before about Marvel's trailers, they're a little bit underwhelming for you, as some. I think, generally speaking, most comic book trailers. I can tell you right now that Glass trailer it just looks amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I guess in terms of most anticipated, I guess I can't say that, but if we're talking in terms of popular cinema, of things that we're going to probably go see the theater, I mean, I hear that Avengers Part 2, Infinity War Part 2, they're going to have a trailer that's going to be dropping before the end of the year. Is that my
So
understanding?
supposedly, well, if you want to take Avengers Infinity War 1 as an example of when it was released on November 29th of last year. So we're looking, or we're anticipating that the second one will be
Okay.
released.
Right. So we're going to keep it consistent in the synergy.
Right.
I mean, I'll hold off until after I watch that trailer. But I mean, they're two different movies, because one's a really just huge ensemble piece that's been built up over 20 some movies. But that Glass trailer, I mean, if you're doing a superhero movie, that's what you should be going for in terms of the excitement for me. In terms of like, you have my attention now. Like
Right.
that, I keep saying like, but it's just For the people out there, you should probably watch the last trailer for Glass. If you're not a fan,
Well,
you'll be a
yeah, if
fan.
if you're into, if you've seen, I mean, I don't know if if you've not seen Unbreakable or Split, I don't. Do you think the trailer stands on its own as something that
No,
would work?
no. You have to watch Unbreakable. You have to watch Split, and then you have to watch Glass. If you're not, then it's not gonna. I think it's still cool enough. Which is the same way I felt about Split when I saw the trailer. But
Right.
I think have the maximum impact. It's a trilogy. So you really can't come into Return of the Jedi without watching like Star Wars and
Or
Empire.
Empire. Right.
Yeah, you kind of lose out on the maximum effect. You can watch it, but um, that's I spoke with superfan Carlos the other day. He gave me a call early in the morning to give me the word that he's watching Man in the High Castle
Hmm.
and that he's locked and loaded, that he's in.
Oh, so are you going to start
So
watching it now?
I still got Sabrina. I still got the Teen Titans.
Really?
I got Shudder. I still got
Titans
Netflix
only
shows.
comes out once a week, so you can't binge it. So you've got plenty of time between episodes of Titans to watch something else.
Listen, it's tough to maintain a relationship and then try to watch all my movies, Bill. It's tough.
Wow.
I mean, you know, when my woman's like this, I'm looking at her with one eye. She's like, is she sleeping? Can I sneak downstairs and maybe play a little bit of video games, throw on a movie?
Really?
She's like, where are you going, babe? I'm like, nothing. I'm just stretching. Just
Why can't you
stretching.
turn down your screen brightness and just lay in bed and play it?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
She falls as soon as she hits the pillow. It's like 5 minutes before she sinks into like Doctor Sleep hits her with the dust, and then
That's my
she's out.
husband. He can go to sleep like on a dime. Like as soon as his head hits the pillow, he is out. I'm like tossing and turning. I'm like, fuck, I need sleeping pills, some fucking warm milk. I mean, I'll do anything to get to sleep. And he's just like, I'm going to bed.
That's what she does. It's amazing that Chris is sometimes there
I
must be
tell you,
something in the name
in a
because she'll be
parallel
like this. I'm
universe.
going upstairs and lay in bed. I'm like, I'll be up in 5 minutes, and she'll be like, that'll be 5 minutes too late.
That's exactly what Chris says. Exactly. I get it.
Anyway, so I guess what I saw the trailers for Man in the High Castle season 3, and I was kind of underwhelmed. And one of the characters is not very exciting for me, Juliana, and it just doesn't look like it's more flashy, and I'm just not a fan of it right now. And I needed somebody to kind of get me excited for it. And Carlos is a tough critic, but he's bought into the parallel universe, so I'm willing to move it a little further up in the queue. I started watching Jack Ryan with one of your favorite actors. What's his name? From The Office?
John Krasinski.
Yes. Big nose John Krasinski. Um, trying to be an action hero. I think I started watching like an episode of it and then I just didn't.
You know who
So,
his wife is, don't you?
oh yeah, Emily Blunt. I think
Yeah.
she's attractive. Not to mention she was in that Tom Cruise movie, um,
Oh,
the
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. I think they're doing an Edge of Tomorrow too.
Oh, yeah, right. That movie made like 10 cents. They are not.
They're going to be doing an Edge of Tomorrow too. As I'm waiting for Dread 2 and Edge of
And
Tomorrow
Warcraft 2. Sure, they're doing all the twos, Jay. All the twos from the ones that made Zip.
That's what I want for my birthday and Christmas. I want Dread 2, Warcraft 2, and Edge of Tomorrow 2.
Wow,
There you
good luck
go.
with that. I don't
What
know
are
if
what,
Santa has that many
what,
skills.
what are your twos you want? I know you want Justice League 2.
I want Justice League 2 really badly. That's what I would want. I want a Justice League 2. Other than that, I think I'm getting all the other twos I want.
Uh,
Green Lantern 2, I wouldn't mind. I like Green Lantern. I miss Green Lantern.
Yeah, okay, there you go. That's a 2.
But
I think that boat has sailed though. That boat has sailed.
yeah, oh yeah, it's way gone. But I'd like for them to do Green Lantern Corps instead of doing like Birds of Prey and Catwoman's fingernails
So
and whatever else they're doing.
so they're changing. What is it? Birds of Prey. I hear they're changing the name.
I saw the headline, but I didn't read the story. I don't know why they would change the name, but okay. I mean, it's not very super recognizable as it is, but at least it's named after something that has some basis.
Yeah, it's hilarious when you say you didn't even read it because I always feel like that's the point where you don't really care about the product because You just like I saw the headline. I don't even really care enough to click on it to find out what they're thinking
I
about.
didn't because I feel like these are not movies that I would necessarily think would be putting them on the footing. But watch these movies that I'm thinking are like, oh, yawn. Watch them be like hot successes and big hits, and like they'll be making tons of these forever. You watch,
Bill, we're both on the same page. We're on the same page and thinking the
right?
same thing.
Right.
They're gonna be like this. Birds of Brains. It's hot. It's hot.
What are they going to call it? Bop instead? I mean, what are they going to change it to? Did you read the story?
Batgirl and her friends, Harley and her friends. Maybe.
Wow.
No, I didn't read the story because I didn't care. I think
Wow.
it's just stupid for them to do Birds of Prey.
Right.
It's just once again, when you have a pantheon of iconic superheroes in your library, I don't know why you're dicking around with lesser known characters,
They're going to
especially.
have to learn this lesson the hard way,
I-
Jay. They're going to have to learn it the hard. They're going to eliminate Superman from their universe, and they're going to live to regret it. But there's nothing you can do to stop them. We're not in the power. Like I was telling you about this the other day. We're not in the place of power with the powers that be that make these decisions. So all we can do as fans is sit back and watch the train. It's like watching the train coming down the tracks, and you want to push the person who's sitting on the tracks out of the way, but you can't. So you just have to watch the train hit them, and then once the debris is cleared up, hopefully, they'll get back on the right idea and, put Superman where he belongs. The fact that their Superman movies haven't worked is unfortunate, but you shouldn't throw out the whole character because it isn't what, you wanted from it.
Of course, as we're saying this, they're probably looking at Venom make over like $500 million.
Right.
Doesn't that have some sort of influence to this of going, well, maybe we can turn a lesser known characters into a $500 million franchise?
I mean, that probably came way back when Marvel did Iron Man. I mean, if you want to be honest about it, I mean, making characters out of nothing or something that was smaller than it, that was an idea that probably had a germ a long time ago. But I mean, I would probably say after Justice League is really where you get the shift because they had all the marquee names in it and didn't make the marquee value money. And that's probably where they said, well, we're going to start going lower key. I don't think it's the right decision. I think it's a mistake, but live and learn.
Okay. Here's some other news, Bill. Speaking of our sequels, apparently Jumanji 3 will be filming in January.
Really? I didn't know
James
there was a
Wan.
Jumanji 2. I really didn't.
James Wan is talking about where he would like to go with the Aquaman 2 story.
We haven't even seen Aquaman 1. And good luck because I don't know if that's going to do it either.
So we're going to be doing a Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, and we're going to be doing it sans Johnny Depp.
Well, that's probably the first good decision they made about that franchise. Right?
Did you watch any of the Pirates?
I watched the original Pirates of the Caribbean, and then I would not. It was like the Transformers for me. I would not dignify it with more of my box office dollars. So
sometimes we're on the same page. I mean, sometimes
but my
you and I are
husband
the
likes it a lot. So for Christmases past, he's been getting the sequels as stocking stuffers. So that's the only exposure I have to that. I've
Has
never
he
watched
enjoyed
them
the stocking
myself.
stuffers? Has he enjoyed the stocking
Yeah,
stuffers?
I think so. He's cracked the seal on them at least, so at least he's watched them. I know.
Okay. All right. So what's the latest from the Mandalorian set? Anything you want to share with us? Anything important?
I know that somebody broke in and stole a flash drive that had a bunch of I guess, plans and development information for the series on it, and whatever it was worth a lot of money because they said the person's going to be charged with grand theft. So, oops, might want to lock that set down.
Okay. Well, that's. What do you do with that information? Do you try to sell the information, or you just try to be on the know?
I'm sure you probably try to leak it on the internet if you're, if you did it for that reason, or maybe you do try to sell it on the black market and let somebody else leak it on the internet. That way it can't be traced back to you. Not that I would know about these things.
Okay. There's going to be also Rambo 5, also dropping, called The Last Blood.
Is
Rambo
it really?
5.
Are
Yeah,
they really putting Sylvester Stallone in it?
Sly is still kind of built, man. I mean, he's still kind of.
He's like 80.
He's in shape, though.
Okay, from the neck down, sure.
Listen, if I needed somebody to play Indiana Jones, I would have to pick Sly Stallone because it looks like Harrison Ford is over there breaking
Harrison Ford
apart,
still got a good body too. He's
not
still in
drinking
shape.
his milk. He's breaking legs and fine. He's got
It's
poor
not really
judgment.
about what shape they're in from the neck down. It's really about the fact that their face looks like melted candle wax. That's really what it's about. Okay,
Uh,
I'm just saying.
that's horrible. What did you say about Jamie Curtis and the Halloween mask?
Well,
What
it's
did they?
that the post. I didn't make that up. I just repeated what I read on Twitter. But somebody posted a post because there's a poster. I don't know if you've seen the poster of a profile view of Jamie Lee Curtis's face in front of the Michael Myers mask, and it's a poster for the new Halloween movie. And somebody on Twitter wrote, "Which one is which?" Um, have you seen? Are you looking for the poster now?
No,
Okay.
I saw the poster before.
Okay. So I'm just saying that's what was said, and I can't really necessarily disagree when you look at the poster. I mean, her face is a roadmap to the stars.
So when Avengers: Infinity War dropped, when it hit the theaters in the U.S., um, where am I going with this? When they release the next Infinity War movie, are they going to time the release that it's released overseas at the same time? Or are we going to get the international movie first, where all the spoilers leak out before it hits U.S. soils?
I think last year they decided to go ahead and release it worldwide at the same time, so that ended up with a push-up date because it was supposed to be on May 4th, and they pushed it up to, I think it was April 27th or 29th. I would expect the same thing to happen at this year's release. So the
It seems more
release date is
important
officially May 6th, I think, but I think it'll probably be pushed up from there.
now. Okay. Um,
So speaking of, but while we're on the Infinity War 4
okay.
thing, um, we didn't discuss the fact that Chris Evans basically confirmed on Twitter that he is out as Captain America after
What?
Avengers 4.
This has escaped
Um,
me. I guess I've been busy. What do you mean? He's out?
well, he wrote on Twitter,
You let me talk about all that other nonsense, Rambo 5, The Last Blood, and then you drop this?
well, I was waiting for a segue and I found one.
Okay.
So he wrote on Twitter, officially wrapped Avengers 4. It was an emotional day to say the least. Playing this role over the last 8 years has been an honor to everyone in front of the camera, behind the camera, and in the audience. Thank you for the memories. Eternally grateful. So that's what his tweet was. And then, of course, everyone was like, oh, Captain America's done. He's done. He's out for sure. Well, then I'm sure Marvel probably was like,
They
you
talked
need
to
to
him
clean
and
this
then
shit
he
up.
came back and said, listen, don't read into it.
Right. And he just said basically, I would have tweeted, I'm not saying whether Captain America dies or not, but I would have tweeted the same thing even if I was coming back or, even if it was, not going to be, the end of phase 3 or whatever. So I'm not going to say one way or the other. Basically, he's trying to clean this shit up, but it sounds to me like he's out. I don't know what all of this means if not, but I would look for, there's almost certainly going to be either a death or a ushering off the canvas of Captain America in Avengers 4, I would think.
Okay. All
So,
right. Well, who's going to pick up the mantle then?
well, there's two options. We talked about this before. I think, given the popularity of Black Panther, I think it would be wise of them to consider putting Falcon in that role. I don't think I think they could ride the popularity coattails off of that. I think what would be exciting would be to see two black leading men in lead character roles, maybe combine, maybe put Bucky's Falcon and Captain America in with Black Panther for an adventure. That would be cool. Um, or there's the Sam, not Sam, Bucky's character. Is these are both characters that have taken on the Captain America mantle in the comics. So if Bucky became Captain America, that would also work. Although I was reading an article the other day that said, Bucky has so much baggage and he's so damaged that would it really work for him to be Captain America? Is he able to be that kind of naive or trusting Boy Scout type of character that Steve Rogers is? I don't know. It does seem like Bucky sort of has a lot of damage. I mean, he was the fucking Winter Soldier, fucking killing people for, Hydra or whatever for years.
He does have a
know,
lot of baggage.
Yeah,
though.
he's got his arm cut
He's
off
not he's not a very clean character, and
twice.
yes.
So I don't know. I frankly, I would prefer Sam, and I think it would be wise of them in the current box office climate to give it to Sam. But we'll see.
Huh.
What do you think?
In terms of what I would
Of
prefer,
which one you would prefer to be Captain America?
I
If
think
Steve
with
is willing.
Sebastian, the Winter Soldier, I think it would be difficult in light of his character. But I think having Falcon kind of pick up the shield a little bit, it'd be interesting. But I'm assuming if he picks up the shield, do they give him the super soldier serum? Is that what happens?
I don't know how they've handled it in the comics. I would
Because
imagine in the
he can't
movie,
be Captain America, obviously, without the super soldier serum.
right? And I don't know how you get the super soldier serum because the way the only reason it works is because it's in Steve's blood. Unless they get a sample of
Right.
Steve's blood and
It-
gives it to
It's complicated a little bit right now because if you're going
Right.
to give it to everybody, then I don't know how you do that. So I would think, in a sense, like Bucky would have the
listen.
front
They-
seat towards it. I think I would prefer Falcon, but I think in terms of unless somehow they create the super soldier serum and give it to him, I would prefer Falcon, but it seems like roads lead to Bucky.
They
And
made
and they would have to clean him up. And right now they're doing that. They already have him over in Wakanda healing up, and I'm sure they're probably working on him trying to be a better person and be less, what's the word, crazy.
they made the Vision out of popsicle sticks and shoelaces. So I'm sure they can make Sam somehow become Captain America.
I got you. Before like Thanos turns Captain America into like putty, maybe they can like scoop him up and then just inject them into the Falcon. Is that what we're gonna do?
Right. I don't know.
Um,
We'll see. But I vote Sam. Although
Okay.
I'm not going to be up in arms and like completely disgusted if they do Bucky.
Well, I vote for Sam too. I can understand why they would do Bucky, but I think you got to probably have somebody else carry the mantle. But I think if you had Sam, that opens up so many doors and creative adventures. It changes things a little bit. I think Bucky's the easy transition. I think it's easy.
I mean, they could always give it to Sam and then to Bucky after Bucky's like assimilated when Sam's ready to go, and then Bucky's like assimilated to like real life.
Falcon, we're gonna give you the Captain America shield, but it looks like your movie made 200 million, so we're gonna pass on the torch with you in the second movie. We're gonna Don Cheadle your ass.
Wow. Speaking of if people have to die in Infinity War Part 2, I vote War Machine because I'm just about done with that character.
You're done with Don Cheadle.
I am
know.
done with Don Cheadle.
I know. Isn't that a
Done
product
looking
of
at Don
Terrence
Cheadle.
Howard asking for more money? We only have Don Cheadle in this situation because of Terrence Howard's
Greed.
need for a little extra dough.
Hey, I mean, if everybody else got it, I suppose he didn't have any problems asking for it too. It's just that he didn't get it. So
Once again, this is always called overplaying your hand.
right, right.
You're not RDJ. You've overplayed your hand.
Or Chris Hemsworth, or any of the
Here.
Chris's for that matter.
Are you almost done here? Because I want to read this last thing, and I think we should move on and just wrap it up. What do you think?
Sure, that's fine.
I just clicked on this thing, and it's called the 13 Scariest Animated Movies.
Okay.
Number 13 for this article here is The Black Cauldron.
Never
Do
saw
you
it.
remember that Disney film?
Yeah, I remember when it came out. I just remember thinking it's a Star Wars ripoff, and I never bothered with the rest of it.
Really?
That's just basically the general idea, the general consensus I had.
Number 12, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's not scary.
I guess it's all relatively speaking. I never saw Nightmare Before Christmas.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, 1993. Never seen it.
How the fuck did you escape the Nightmare Before Christmas?
I just was never. I just didn't seem of interest to me at all. I mean, I know it's very popular. Tim Burton, people seem to love it and talk about it. I just
Oh
haven't
my God.
watched it.
I just can't believe you've never seen it.
It's very
Okay.
good. Is it? What is it?
It's a
What is it?
classic. It's yes, it's very good.
What's the
Highly
story?
recommended. It's about the skeleton king of Halloween Town named Jack, and he has wanderlust to become more than what he is. Like the grass is always greener, so he goes to Christmas Town and
And
he
kidnap Santa Claus?
kidnaps Santa Claus and thinks that he can be a better Santa Claus than Santa Claus, and learns the lesson that sometimes, the grass isn't always greener and you should be grateful for what you have and stop chasing waterfalls, basically.
Oh, look at you. That was a hell of a synopsis. If I had a keyboard, I would give the clapping signal. That was well done, Bill. Well
Well,
done.
I just
Uh,
watched it, by the way, so that's why I'm so familiar with the story structure. So,
number 11, The Last Unicorn.
oh, that movie isn't scary, but it is one of my favorites.
I want you to know that I have seen The Last Unicorn. It is not scary. It is intense and one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that movie.
I don't know why I like The Last Unicorn,
It's
but it's
fantasy.
so
It's
good
basically
when
Lord of
the
the
unicorn
Rings.
comes out there with the horn and she backs down. What was it? The bull, the Red Bull.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, doesn't the Red
It's
Bull chase and then the unicorn fights and that changes everything?
yes. It's a fantasy story, basically. I mean, I think it's based on a book. Um, and yeah, it's basically Lord of the Rings light. So
Yeah. Number 10, Fantasia.
still don't get the scare factor, but okay.
Number 9, one of my favorite movies, and maybe I should add this to my list for things to watch, maybe with Jackson or my nephew or my other one. The
Yeah,
Secret
he
of
has a
Nim.
name too. It's Nate.
What's that? He has a name too. His name shall he whose name shall not be named. The Secret of Nim.
Mhm.
Number 9.
No, I've never seen it, but I can't imagine it being. Well, maybe,
You
but I still
you
don't.
never see The Secret of Nim
I have
with
not.
the rats?
Yeah, that's first of all, that's why I don't watch movies about rats. This is why I hate Ratatouille,
Oh,
because it's
that's
gross.
so cool. It's all the mice and the rats all get injected with some chemical and it all gives them super intelligence. And then they all move and live on a farm. And then, there's a hierarchy within there, and then there's a group where they have to like move. It's a fascinating. It's not scary, but it's really intense. Number 8, Coraline.
I was bored to tears at Coraline. I thought that movie was boring, boring, boring.
Number 7, one of my favorites, Vampire Hunter D.
Never seen it. Isn't that anime?
It is anime, and it's got a lot of like arms, heads chopping off. I think it's rated R to be quite honest with you. So I mean, I think you've got like the head vampire sleeping with 3 women. There's some nudity. Um,
Never seen it.
okay, number 6, Fears of Dark. Never heard of it.
Uh-uh.
Number 5, Watchmen: Tales of the Black Freighter.
Yeah, I could see it being scary. It's not really a full length
It's a
movie, though.
30-minute short film,
Yeah.
which I never saw.
You've never seen Tales of the Black Freighter? We're just gonna go back and forth with this. You've never seen. You've never seen. You've never seen. Um,
Do I need to see it?
you do.
Can you like put it on some sort of like flash drive and send it to me?
It's on the Movies Anywhere app.
It
But
is?
it's within the Watchmen Ultra cut, so you'll have to watch that to get to it.
What do you mean I have to watch that to get to it?
It's in the ultimate cut of
Right. What do you mean I
Watchmen.
have to fast forward to the end?
No, it's not on the end. It's all the way. It's dispersed throughout the movie.
What do you mean it's
The-
dispersed throughout the movie?
It's like the book, the comic. This is why they released it as a separate cut from the theatrical cut, because basically in the comic there's a world within a world, which is the world of the Black Freighter.
Yeah. Fuck that. I need them to distill that down to something I can just click on.
I
and not
have the
to watch
30-minute
it.
version, but there's no digital copy of it. So
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to bring that up on your next trip up then.
okay, okay.
Number 4, Watership Down, 1978 film. John Hurt seems to be in a lot of
Never
these.
seen it.
Seoul Station, as in Seoul, Korea, 2017. I think it's based off the movie Train to Busan. I think it's essentially a zombie movie, outbreak, Night of the Living Dead type of thing.
Okay.
I may have to watch that and add that to my queue. Number 2, The Plague Dogs. Looks like dogs with plague. And number 1, a movie called Perfect Blue. Heard
Never
of it? Heard of it? Never watched it. Anyway, what do you think, Bill? Should we do Box Office Mojo, or do you have something else to add?
No, we can go ahead and box office it.
It's hilarious. There's my woman's been hanging out with some people who actually have some horror films, like watch horror movies, and so she'll come home to me and she'll be like, "So and so is watching a horror film," and she said it was really scary. Do you remember Hostel?
Wow, that's going back a ways, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just like, "Well, I don't think I considered it scary." I think she said it was scary because it's something that could happen. I looked at it as more being like I used your term, torture porn.
Wow.
Essentially.
You should use these opportunities to indoctrinate her into your horrors. Like when she's like, "Have you ever heard of Hostel?" Hold on, let me pull it up.
Well, I would say it if it was something like good, like Mulholland Drive, but Hostel is something where I'm just like, that's just crap.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not really a fan of Eli Roth and his work.
Really?
More often than not, I find that he's more of a hack. And did you ever go see what is it, the wall, the clock with the walls in it, or something? Are you
No,
gonna?
I think we're gonna watch it maybe next year for Halloween.
Did
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
You guys? Well, you already told me you're already behind on everything. You haven't even watched your Goosebumps then.
No, I bought the Blu-ray and haven't watched it yet.
You haven't watched The Conjuring.
Nope.
So what is this going to be? Halloween 2019?
Halloween 2024. We're gonna get to it.
All right. For the weekend of October 26th through the 28th of 2018. Oh wait, I'm sorry. How about I do this?
It's 4 days of Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. It's 4 days of Halloween, Silver.
I do love that song.
Halloween, #1 movie. Shocker. It's in its second week of release. It pulled in another 32 million, bringing the grand total worldwide to $172 million.
Wow.
Making a big money, Bill. It's making big money.
Gee, do you think we'll get a sequel? I don't know.
You know how much the budget was?
I'm gonna say 25.
$10 million.
Wow.
10 million. And apparently Jamie Lee Curtis, shocker, has said that if there's going to be a Halloween sequel, she'll do it if the director, what's his name, is back on board, David Gordon Green.
Well, I guess she survived the first one then, huh?
I
Spoiler!
think it's probably inappropriate for her to have said that for
Right.
people who haven't seen the movie, but yes.
Okay.
I guess we have to end that. Anyway, that's good money for them. 10 million, reboot, much better than the Rob Zombie version, apparently. Much better received. Number 2, A Star Is Born. I think you said like the 5th remake of this movie. It pulled in another $14 million in its 4th week, and its grand total, foreign and domestic, is $253 million.
Well, that's quite a bit of change.
Yeah, that's good job on Bradley Cooper. The
And
number 3 movie
Lady Gaga.
in its 4th week of release, pulling in another $11 million. Shocker, Venom. It is now made $500 million. Now it's only when I say only, it's still a good amount of money. It made $187 million in the U.S.
But
It's
more
made
than half of its box
321
office then
million
has come from foreign.
overseas.
Right.
What's that?
So again, more than half of its box office has come from foreign box office sales.
Oh, a substantial part. Yeah.
Yeah, like 60%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good return. I mean, the budget on this movie, $100 million. Does it look like $100 million on the screen?
Yeah, I would say it does.
Okay. Well, they put some money in there. This wasn't like a $35 million budget, I thought, at one time. I thought it was,
Well, the Venom character requires quite a bit of special effects, I imagine. So
Okay. Well, they made their money. So I'm assuming we haven't talked about it. I'm assuming there's a Venom 2 coming.
More than likely, yes.
All right. The number 4 movie, Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween, in its third week of release, pulled another $8 million, bringing its grand total to $62 million on a budget of $35 million.
No. I mean, they made their money.
And this movie here, which I would make great fun about, I wanted to send you all the lines I keep hearing on the radio station constantly on the radio advertising this movie with Gerard Butler and Gary Oldman.
What is
Hunter
it called?
Killer.
Hunter
Killer. The sub movie.
Right.
It pulled in $6 million.
So that was the opening of this movie, right? This is the opening weekend?
It is the opening weekend, Bill.
Oh, wow. I mean, no one said Gerard Butler was a box office draw.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Mr.
Gerard
Butler. I don't think there's anything wrong with Gary Oldman. I don't think there's anything wrong with Common. I think that the vehicle that they chose is poor.
What's wrong with the submarine movie? That sounds like exciting.
I think the problem with the submarine movies, it looked like it was made for sci-fi because all their lines were like this. What's going on? The Russian president has been kidnapped. We've been authorized to use lethal force, the greatest force ever used in the history of war.
Okay.
Everything was always the greatest. In the whole trailer, it's like this. This submarine could go faster than any other submarine ever before it. It's like it's written by like adolescent Bill. That's what it is. I think Butler's going like this. I need you to dive as far as you can go. And then give me all she's got.
That's what he says when he goes to the bank and waits to
I
withdraw
know.
from his checking account after this movie. That's what he says.
Well, I'm glad. I hope they cashed all the checks up front. Oldman, Common, and Butler. I hope they got it all up front because that movie, as much as they've been advertising it,
I have not seen a single advertisement for it. We don't watch a lot of, commercials.
They've had it on television. I know you don't watch a lot of live, and I also listen to sports radio.
Oh,
And they're playing the sound bites from this
Right.
over and over again. And I'm sorry.
I
if
would
you-
look for them not to be playing those on weekend too, since it made $10. So
Yeah. I think
The worst
they
is
were going to
probably
stop
over.
that. Yeah. It's not going to be the Das Boot, Crimson Tide, Hunt for Red October. I mean, those are the quintessential submarine movies. Even with the Widowmaker with Harrison Ford. But this here, oh man,
not so much.
not so much. All right, and that's it. I think there was a Johnny English Strikes Again that opened up. There's a movie called, what is it, Suspiria?
Suspiria.
I never saw the original, but damn, I saw the trailer for this movie. It looks like a witch's coven.
Yeah. And it
the
didn't it
remake-
just open this weekend?
It just opened this weekend.
To number 7?
Oh, not even a number 7. No, I think it might have limited release. So before we,
Okay, I was gonna say,
Before-
wait, what?
it's not giving me the theaters. It only opened up in 2 theaters.
Oh, well, never mind that. That doesn't count.
But it pulled in some money for opening up in 2 theaters.
Two
But
theaters.
that-
I was gonna say it's Halloween season.
Witches of Coven. I don't know if that's still going to have a huge audience. It seems kind of like artsy.
Yeah, but it's a remake, so it does have some kind of
For
historical.
who?
Oh, I
For
don't know.
For,
It
for
was,
an older generation.
Yeah, who it wasn't? Oh crap! I can't remember the name of the guy who made the original.
His name is all over the place.
I know, but I can't remember it.
Oh, yeah. I just saw it earlier because it was. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Sort of just
Yeah.
like Heredity.
Hereditary.
Hereditary. What did I say?
Heredity.
Yeah, whatever. That's
Hereditary, Tomato, tomato.
So yeah, that's Dario
Argentino.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There was an article with him on like all his horror movies ranked from best to worst. Anyway, all right, Bill. What are you gonna do?
I am gonna go upstairs and finish watching because I've been on a Dracula. Well, really, yes, actually.
You been on a Dracula kick?
I've been on a classic monster movie remake kick. So I watched Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is classic, and then I watched Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is directed by Kenneth Branagh. And I'm watching currently The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro and Emily Blunt.
Wow. Okay.
So I like that movie. I know it made like $10, and Chris didn't even like it, and he loves The Wolfman, but I like it. So
Oh, okay. That's excellent.
yeah.
I think we're having people over for steaks tonight. We're gonna have a
Oh,
lot
really?
of red meat. It's Chris's youngest son's birthday,
Oh,
so
well, that's
we're
nice.
inviting people over, and that's gonna drive the dogs crazy.
Right.
And we're gonna have some steaks, and then hopefully kick everybody else out so I can relax because we all go back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, here's a little funny story on the way out the door. Last night I'm in bed, and I have we have the dogs and we have the cats,
Mhm.
and I'm in tuned to the dogs. So when all of a sudden I hear some sort of rustling or movement by them, I instantly wake,
Mhm.
and Chris doesn't. Like I almost like hear them when they're about to vomit. Like I pop up and I grab Ferg and I rush him to the bathroom or downstairs. Like I sense it.
Mhm.
Well, last night all you hear is this. You hear that, but it's not the dogs. It's one of the cats,
Really?
and I don't
In the
move.
bed?
No, it's somewhere in the
In the
house. You can
room.
hear.
Okay.
Yeah, you can hear it, and I'm just like, but I don't move. I just hear it faintly. But Chris popped right up. She popped right up, like boom,
Mhm.
and she's trying to capture the vomit before it hits the rug, or
Oh
the
my God.
carpet. But I'm
Oh,
still
you pet
sleeping.
people. I just cannot deal with it. I cannot. These are like when you think, oh well, maybe we should get a dog because my husband really wants a dog, and I hear these stories about, or I'll never forget the traumatization I went through that time I was at your house, and Ferg threw up and then ate it. I was like, oh my God, it's like a baby monster. It's, it's like a little furry monster eating his own vomit.
And let's be quite the full story. Let's be quite honest. Is you came to me like I'm like, what's going on, Bill? You thought somebody had like shot President Kennedy, like you guys seen it with your own eyes. I'm like, what's going on, Bill? You're like, Ferg vomited. I'm like, okay. And then I came back downstairs. I'm like, where is it? And you're like, he ate it.
Oh
And I'm
my God.
like, can you put down like a paper towel before you ran upstairs or something? You couldn't just.
No, I'm sorry. No. And then the thing about it is you just let them like lick you and stuff. Oh my God, I can't. I can't. I love them. They are my nephews. I do love them, but my God, I'm glad that I'm just a visitor and not an owner.
Before you come up for your next trip, I'll make sure that I brush their teeth with what is
Yeah,
it?
that's fine.
The
Ferg doesn't
turkey
really.
toothpaste.
Yeah, turkey toothpaste, really? They have that?
Yes, they do.
That's
It's
nasty.
flavored. It's flavored dog
Oh,
toothpaste for
okay.
them. Um,
All right.
Anyway, it's been a lot of fun, Bill. Episode
As usual.
76. Shout out to our people. We did receive a few comments related to Star Wars, but I cannot retrieve those comments. So that's kind of an interesting surprise on our system.
Right.
Shout out to all our family and friends, super fans, all in general. Always feel free to contact us at popularcinemapodcast@gmail.com.
I
What
do
else,
have a
Bill?
note. Now,
Go
we
ahead.
are scheduled to do a show in 2 weeks. But I have been informed by my husband that that is actually my birthday in 2 weeks from now, November 11th, it's a Sunday, that I have to keep the entire day free because I have some kind of surprise coming my way. So we're going to have to possibly move that show.
I know with you and your birthdays, it's not like you haven't had many more of those.
47 before. Listen,
Yeah, so we're gonna have to have an all-day celebration. That's fine.
listen.
It's your
My
birthday.
husband's planning something. I don't know what it is.
It's your birthday, Bill. I
Yeah.
understand that.
Okay.
Is there
So
gonna be flexibility? How do you feel about doing a Saturday show then?
that Saturday, I think something's going on November 10th. I don't remember what it is
I
though.
look at you. What you're saying, it's your birthday weekend, and you're not going to be doing it.
How about we move it to the 18th? Is what I'm saying. It's a week out, but it's just an
Oh,
extra week.
okay. Well, this is exactly what Superfan Nadia was talking about. She's like, "What's going on with the episodes? Oh, it must
Really.
be the holidays. What's going on? Things are kind of lax."
Then
That's
she
fine.
looked into it and realized that she was actually mistaken about the fact that we didn't have shows for that long. So
Yeah. We didn't have a show last week because Bill, once again, and I don't
I
know.
had taken ill.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
I was under the weather.
Are you going to that those hospitals where you have to walk through metal detectors? Is that the hospitals you're going through?
Yeah, I know. I know. It did not require a hospital visit. It just required,
You're
some-
hanging around with those. Okay. Anyway.
Anyway.
All right. Bill, I don't know if I should end with.
It's 4 days of Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. It's 4 days of Halloween, silver Chicago. It's 4
Bill,
days
see
of
you in 2
Halloween,
weeks. I'll be
See ya.
Halloween,
3 weeks.
Halloween.
Bye.
It's 4 days of Halloween.